Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Tammy McManus are with me, and here's what's coming up on the show today. Stephen Davis calls for unity after Rangers suffer an embarrassing European defeat to Cypriot Miners' Aris Limassol. Brendan Rodgers claims Celtic must learn a harsh lesson from Lazio's late winner after another European defeat.
I felt totally we deserved to take something from the game. Had a great start and scored a great goal.
Stephen Naismith warns Hearts will be facing a different Hibs under Nick Montgomery in this weekend's Edinburgh Derby.
He's definitely come in with his own ideas, so it's definitely a different challenge to what Hibs have been over the last couple of years under the previous manager.
Nick Montgomery claims league position is irrelevant as the new Hibs boss gets set for his first Tynecastle visit.
I don't really look at the table. I'll just look at the next game, and the next game is the derby tomorrow.
Yeah, lots to look ahead to and of course reflect on Scottish clubs and their performances in Europe, which, if we're brutally honest, Ruffy, not very good.
No, it isn't very good. If we start with the Celtic game, it all started as if it was going to be one of these nights. What a wonderful goal to set them on the road, but after that it was same old, you know, a lot of possession, looking good on the ball, but last third, not that killer touch at all, and then obviously we lose that last goal at the end, and it's again, when are we going to learn lessons? But it seems to be that old record getting played all the time now. You know, when are we going to realise that in Champions League football you've got to be lethal and you've got to be solid at the back? If you're not going to win the game, don't lose it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the highlight. That's the one main line that everybody was talking about, Tam. And with that in mind, I mean, I can't help but feel as if, you know, it might have been the same old movie, but Celtic played the best football, I think, since Brendan Rodgers has come back, and it still ended up with a defeat.
Yeah, it did. I think defensively they were pretty solid. Poor goal for the first goal, set piece. Brendan will be raging with that, losing a goal at set piece. If Lazio cut you open, score a great goal, then fine. But I thought they knocked the ball about well. Peter kept the ball well. Technically they were good, but all kind of broke down the final third, and that's the issue with Celtic at the minute. I read a stat that they've only scored 2 goals in Champions League games, you know, once in the last 12 or 13 games. You know, they can't get that second goal to put Lazio away. If it went 2-0, I think Celtic would have won the game, but Lazio get the goal, and then Celtic are pushing. Listen, the Palma goal, he's unlucky, he's offside, but he's marginally offside, and then Pedro punches Celtic at the end. But it's just that final third, Peter, where Celtic have just not got the quality at that level to punish teams.
Yeah, I think we knew this was coming. I mean, it's not as if it's any great surprise, because he wants football after Christmas. He wants it in the Europa League, which will be the last chance anybody's got of dropping in because of the new format, Ali. So I think we kind of thought it was going to be tough. The difference is it's Feyenoord or Celtic who are going to get third or fourth place. I think that's the general view.
Yeah, and I think essentially Lazio was a game that Celtic really had to win. That home game, I think, it's a pretty formidable ask now to recover any standing in the group after losing your opening 2 games, and other people round about you're all picking up points. Atletico Madrid now next up at Celtic Park before the end of the month. I think you would struggle just to see where Celtic are going to start picking up points. It would take them into that contention for that Europa League place. You never know. However, I would say the evidence in front of you would suggest it's just not there. To go back to the performance on Wednesday night, I thought bringing on Cameron Carter-Vickers when he did, I did think it was a bit of an odd call when he was introduced into the game, and then of course just the mistake, maybe the lack of fitness, the lack of sharpness, it then leads to that winner. But I would agree with Tam. I think Celtic just looked toothless when they get into that final third. I thought Kyogo scored a fantastic goal, but he was very quiet. You know, he's very deep and very. He wasn't particularly influential in the game as a whole over the course of the time that he was on the pitch. But I think that has to be a concern when you just can't. You're creating chances, you're enjoying a lot of the ball, but you're just not able to do anything with it. And at this level, you're always susceptible then to being punished. Yeah,
even the manager Brendan Rodgers found that late winner for Lazio painful.
Concede late on like we did, it's really harsh on us, but there's a learning there. You have to secure the ball in the game, and if you're not going to win it at that stage as it comes forward, then you certainly can't lose it.
Ruffy, I mean, I have mentioned it is a movie that everybody's been in before, but I can't get away from the fact that if I listen to the manager constantly, you just hear, reading between the lines, that he wanted one or two. He didn't want anybody at 10 and 15 million. He just wanted one or two bits of quality that might have been the difference between 2-1 defeat, maybe a draw, maybe a winner.
You're right, you know, but there obviously is a policy at the club just now. It seems to be bringing in young players and getting them, selling them on and bringing them in. But if you're going to go down that road and you're going to go into Champions League football with experienced teams, with a young team, you're going to get mistakes. Like the first game, the boy gets sent off and then losing that last goal. That's what's going to happen when you have young, inexperienced European-style football. I thought the boy for Benfica, when he comes on, looks the part. You know, I think we'll see more of him. But I just think that the final third, we keep talking about it, it's so predictable. Get the ball wide, fire it into Kyogo, and these teams read that. They know that it's not going to be put in for a big guy, you know, to come bustling in and with a head. There's no... That is it. Get it wide, get it in the box and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, there are some players... O's not a goal scorer, Tim. Yang looked as if he'd won a competition to play for Celtic because he was ineffective as well. I just think they needed... I think they needed a... I don't know why they brought Brendan Rodgers back.
Yeah, I think that they needed a number 9. They needed a striker. You know, they were heavily linked with Podence at Wolves, the winger. I think he would have made a difference. I think he's a quality player. He's just out with Celtic's price range. Celtic wouldn't pay the wages. Celtic wouldn't pay the wages. But those types of guys would maybe have got them a win last night and would maybe get them into Europa League or second place. But Celtic are not prepared to do that, and that's fine. That's a policy at the club. But I just think that Celtic in the final third are just not good enough at this level. Champions League's great for the supporters, great for the money men, the board, the money they make. Great. Don't think it's great for the supporters because I think the supporters maybe starting to get fed up now, just turning up, getting beat, drawing, getting beat, not winning any games. I think it'd be better, more comfortable in the Europa League. But Celtic are not good enough to finish third even. So it's Champions League, get put out, you're out of Europe. There's not even that safety net of a third and getting into the Europa League at the moment for Celtic.
Yeah.
Alison makes a good point with Cameron Vickers. I'd love somebody to ask why. You know, why? Okay, if the boy's picked up an injury, if the boy's indicated, right, I played 70 minutes, I'm struggling a wee bit, get me off, I can handle that. But to put him on just for a roar, you know, and he did well when he came on, not taking away apart from the goal. But Celtic were never under any pressure defensively, the way they were. You know, they were handling everything okay. I just love somebody to ask the manager, why was that call?
Yeah, last point on it, Ali, and it's quite simple. You can't get away from the facts. His record now in Champions League is woeful. He's only had 2 wins out of the 20. He's got the poorest record of any manager who's had 20 games in the Champions League. So you can't get away from that. And now it's just becoming a laughing stock with the Champions League theme. I mean, it's not a fortress. It's just, let's come and hear the noise of the fans and then let's go and spank them.
Yeah, I think the last decade, I think you would, you know, Celtic have been exposed repeatedly in that environment. And you talk about Brendan Rodgers' record, I think Celtic's record as a whole makes for grim reading when you look at the stats across the last 10 years. I think you could probably sit all day and discuss it and make an argument for how the financial chasm between the top level of European clubs and Celtic has changed and altered the landscape. And when you do go into the transfer market, you're trying to stick within the parameters of a budget that you've set, a wage structure that you've set, and bring in quality that I think can be very difficult to do. I think the club have had mixed success in expanding their boundaries, looking to the Asian market, bringing in players that obviously fit those requirements. But I think Celtic have looked out of their depth for a long, long time in this tournament and in this competition. And I think ultimately, until you address much wider issues, it's a hard problem to solve, and I don't see it getting better anytime soon. Yeah,
well, you can give us your views in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. If you download the app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips, and of course we've got the website as well. But let's move on. If Celtic fans are hurting after watching that late goal, spare a thought for Rangers fans. It doesn't get any better. In fact, if you were looking and assessing the Rangers situation, I mean, they weren't a great team, Limassol. Rangers just looked completely and utterly disjointed, Ruffy.
Yeah, not only just disjointed, but I said last week, I think unfortunately they've signed too many players who can't handle the pressure of pulling on a Rangers jersey. They can't handle it when it's not doing it. They can handle it when they're winning. Everybody player looks great, but there's too many of them now hiding. They haven't had the experience of playing with a club like Rangers. They haven't had the experience of playing European football and things not going particularly well. There's not one or two people on that part that I could say, right, let's galvanise them, let's get us out of this hole, because a lot of good teams have that kind of player. Rangers don't have one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the Stephen Davis. This is what he had to say, obviously, on the overall performance. The dressing room was hurting. We thought that was an opportunity to come here and get some points. We caused a lot of our own problems tonight. It's a difficult place to be at the moment. It's important we stay together at this moment, and eventually things will turn. Well, he's the interim boss. He's desperate to do well, but I think anybody who comes in and realises what they have available and what Michael Beale has left them with, they'll be shaking their head all the way to January before that window opens.
Yeah, I think if you're a manager and you're maybe linked with the job, you're a Muscat or a Lampard, and you watch that game last night, you're thinking, maybe you're having second thoughts about it actually coming, because you're stuck with that squad until January. You've not really got a lot of money. I don't think Rangers have a lot of money to spend in January, unless somebody comes in with deep pockets, which I think is doubtful. And you're looking at the players that they've signed. You know, Lammers last night, dreadful. I thought Seema played okay. I thought he was probably one of Rangers' better players. Dessers, no pace, can't at the top end of the pitch. Lundstrom in the middle of the park, terrible. I think you're looking at that squad and you're thinking, I need serious finances to turn that around and to challenge Celtic. So I think if you're a manager watching that game last night and you're maybe have a sniff of the Rangers job, you're maybe having second thoughts, because that performance last night was utterly dreadful. And it wasn't just that, Peter. It was a lack of, Ruffy touched on it, was a lack of dig. It was a lack of guts and a lack of, come on, let's get it. There was none of that in that Rangers team last night. And when they got the goal, you thought Rangers would come back, maybe get a draw here. Or they didn't create a chance after that goal. It just fizzled out, and that is not good enough for Rangers.
I think the glaring problem has always been the centre of their defence, and you know, they lost both goals with poor marking. And you're looking at them, Ruffy, and you're saying to yourself, I mean, with regards to the manager, many people will want that job. It's such a big job. It's just going to be a really tough job for someone to take between now and the January transfer window. All I would say to you, Ruffy, is if Rangers were to hire Frank Lampard, I would actually question the sanity of the board. They've got to look for somebody who's got a track record of winning and a track record where he can actually, you know, galvanise what they've got there.
Yeah, I think the only way they would go with him would fall into the same trap as the Gerrard one. You know, wonderful player, fantastic with his country and at club level. He's been a manager here and there. You know, if he was offered it, I think he would take it. You know, I know Tom's saying it would be a hard shift in that, but the last manager said, I need 12 or 13 new players. The next manager that comes in will be saying, I need 12 or 13 new players. That's where they are now. So it's a challenge for anybody coming in. But as Tom touched on it briefly, how much money's in the pot in January?
If you look at the group, it's not great for Rangers fans to see exactly where they are. I mean, they've got some tough games coming up as well, Tom. But the one thing I would say is, although it was painful last night, the way the group's panning out with Betis as well, getting 3 points, it's everything to play for if the new manager comes in. Whether he's coming in before the next game is another thing.
Yep, I think that obviously Rangers in a strong position, beating the favourites, in my opinion, Real Betis, to win the group, beating them at home. But I think if you can get a manager in and you can galvanise that squad of players, I would fancy Rangers to beat that team at home at Ibrox. I thought the one thing they had over Rangers last night is they were hungrier. I mean, they're not getting paid a lot of money. Their budget's dwarfed by Rangers. Somebody told me they're fifth in the league and they share the stadium with 3 other teams. You know, they're a very small team in Cyprus, and a lot of those players last night were young and hungry, and they wanted to do well to get a move to a Rangers. And I think that was the only difference between the teams. I think Rangers are a better side, but I think that other team were hungrier and they wanted it more. I think if Rangers can get a manager in to galvanise that squad, I think we'd beat them at home. Sparta Prague, I think Rangers are capable of beating them at home. So I think 9 points gets you through, and if they can win those 2 home games, then I think they'll be okay.
So, room for optimism. I have to say though, Ruffy, having watched Lazio's late winner, painful, having watched Rangers, painful, and then, would you believe, I stayed on for the Aberdeen game. I mean, I actually thought at one point maybe it would just be better going into a darkened room and scalping my head off a wall. Aberdeen against a Finnish side, and it's at home. My God, they were woeful.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to expect to win the games. Yeah, and I thought Aberdeen were beginning to look the part. You know, I thought they were going to be able to take anybody on it at Pittodrie. You know, they've been scoring goals. You know, they have been leaking the goals that they have done early on in the season. So I expected a win up there, but it got a bit turgid near the end. The football went right out the window. You know, we're just lumping it up and seeing what would happen. But I know he'll try and put a slant on it. But in this, you've got to win your home games.
Yeah, Ali, should have been playing against 10 men. Duke took a real belt with the elbow.
Definitely.
It was a shocker,
for me,
I thought.
I think sometimes you think, what's the point of VAR if you're not going to bring those things back? There was one on Wednesday night as well, the Hatate one. You think that was worth a look by VAR too? I thought that one was an absolute unambiguous red card on Duke. I thought they should have been playing with a numerical advantage, but ultimately I think they should have won the game. They created enough chances to go and win the game. I think drawing at home, no disrespect to Helsinki, but Aberdeen should be beating teams like that.
Yeah, and the manager Barry Robson not too happy with the referee either.
I need to be careful what I comment on, but I think we all know tonight the level of player and the level of game, it has to be officiated at the correct standard as well. And I didn't think the standard was right tonight. There was a lot of things happened out on the pitch that wasn't right for me.
Okay, that's manager speak for he thought the ref was ranked rotten. But
Without getting fined.
without picking up any kind of fine. Here's how Aberdeen look in that group, which is again painful, but it just shows you where Scottish football is at the moment, Tam.
Yeah, it is, and listen, I thought that Aberdeen, I agree with Alison, they should have won the game last night. I think they were the team Helsinki that you need to take 6 points from. I think if you nick another result from one of the other teams at home, then you've got a wee sniff. They had to win that game, and I don't think Aberdeen are going to get through now. I think that PAOK beating Eintracht Frankfurt was a bit of a shocker as well, and I would expect the top two to be the top two, and Aberdeen fighting out for the wooden spoon with Helsinki. But he's right, that's a big decision. If that's a red card in the first 20-25 minutes of the game, Aberdeen were going to win the game for me, and they finished strongly, but they didn't start well enough, and that's what cost them.
Yeah, okay. With that in mind and those three results, Scotland earned just 2.6 points in the coefficient, and of course to keep that top 10 status and direct entry into the Champions League, we're looking for around 6 to 7 points per season, so we're really relying on them to maybe step up and get a few more wins, because I can't remember who said it, but was it Bruce Forsyth? What do points mean? Prizes. So
The teacher used to say that.
exactly. Not that you needed to worry because you just skated that exam. Okay, was it slightly better in Europe for the English clubs? Champions League certainly. PSG blown away by Newcastle.
Yes. That's my new foreign team.
PSG have been ditched, have they?
It was. I mean, the atmosphere in that stadium looks electric. It looks, and it was great at the end when all the flags come out and everything. It summed up the whole night. You know, the amount of effort the players put in. A couple of lucky goals here and there, but you know, they were superb. And the big boy, can't remember who's the big boy who plays at the back.
Dunked.
Aye, the big boy. Imagine when he was going for that header, I could see people just jumping out the road because he was going through everybody.
It was memories of Gordon McQueen, wasn't it? Because that's Gordon. It was his ball. It was his ball.
Yeah, but great atmosphere. I think it's one of the clubs, you know, you do want to see doing well.
Man United lost. If you think we've got problems, Manchester United lost to Galatasaray. Absolutely. I mean, honestly, you could be
First
on
ever Turkish win in English soil, I think it was.
Yeah, you could be on a 2-hour show on Man United alone. Arsenal lost to Lens, Man City beat Leipzig. Elsewhere, great result for David Moyes. Everton, what a run they're on.
Yeah, Moisey, as you said, your old mate there getting a result. You know, great result in Germany, 2-1. They're going to be up there, I think, as well in that Europa League. They obviously won the Conference League last season, and he seems to have got a wee taste at David Moyes for winning.
Yeah, great to see Liverpool and of course Aston Villa with John McGinn scoring, getting wins in European competitions. So let's concentrate on what's happening in the Scottish Premiership. Here's what's on offer this weekend for you. We'll get into the meat and bones of it now, but it's Dundee Ross County, it's Hearts against Hibs, Livingston, Motherwell, Celtic, Kilmarnock, St Mirren against Rangers and Aberdeen against St Johnstone. So game of the weekend, undoubtedly Hibs against Hearts. It's at Tynecastle. Hibs are unbeaten in the last 5 in all competitions, and Hearts, well, I mean, if ever there's a statement in Edinburgh, as I know, it buys you time, it allows fans to get behind what you're trying to do. It's a derby win. Yeah,
without doubt, and I think the record that Hearts have at Tynecastle would embolden them going into this game. I think they'll fancy themselves against Hibs. Stephen Naismith had pointed out that he expects a kind of different, more attacking Hibs side to come to Gorgie tomorrow, but I think he'll feel quite confident that Hearts prevail on home soil. Yeah, let's find out what was happening in the Hibs camp, because we sent our intrepid reporter Patrick Mullen out there.
I'm here at the Hibernian Training Centre this afternoon, speaking to Nick Montgomery. Tomorrow is the first Edinburgh Derby of the season, and Hibs have the chance to leapfrog Hearts in the table and move up to 4th. Could this be a motivation for the Hibernian players? Well, Nick Montgomery said this afternoon that his players do not need any more motivation than they already have.
No, I don't really look at the table. Just look at the next game, and the next game is the derby tomorrow. So yeah, relevant whether they're above us or below us in the table. We're having a good run at the minute. The boys are confident, and we'll go out every week to try and win the game, whether it's a derby or not a derby. So we'll be going there tomorrow, giving them full respect. But yeah, I don't think I really need to motivate the boys anymore. But I'm sure the fans and the atmosphere will motivate them when they step out on the pitch tomorrow.
Everything seems positive here at Hibernian. They are undefeated since Nick Montgomery became manager. His side are fully fit, according to him, this afternoon, and that's giving him all sorts of headaches in terms of team selections ahead of tomorrow's game. So
yeah, it's my job to pick the team now and the subs, and as always, the subs can be just as important as the boys that are starting. So yeah, I've got the headache of picking a team for tomorrow, because everyone's been a little bit more energetic this week, and obviously it's been a long week without the midweek game. Has meant we've managed to get a little bit more done on the training ground. So really happy with the preparation this week, and yeah, can't wait for tomorrow.
You in a good place?
Yeah, I think Hibs are. I think there's a lot of positivity about the club since he's come in. I think that he's shown his hand in terms of how he wants to play. He wants to play attacking football. I think the Hibs fans will lap that up as long as you're winning as well, along with that. And he's had a good start. He's unbeaten. I think this is, as Alison said, it's a tough game. Hibs have not got a great record there. Myself and Ruffy have combined. I don't think we won a game at Tynecastle, so historically it's a tough place to go. But this is a new set of players, new manager. They can forget that, just go out and play the game. And I think Hibs have got enough quality in the final third now to punish Hearts at the back, and I quite fancy a Hibs win.
Oh, excellent. Hang fire with a prediction on it though. I'm delighted Alison's here, because obviously Alison's sat-nav has broken down and she's taking turn-offs anywhere, so we did send her through to find out what was happening with Stephen Naismith.
Hearts manager Stephen Naismith is eagerly anticipating the first Edinburgh Derby of the season as Hearts host Hibs at Tynecastle tomorrow afternoon, and Naismith is anticipating a very different Hibs side under Nick Montgomery as a new Hibs manager takes his side into this clash for the first time.
They're a different team. I think they play a much more aggressive attacking style than they did before, and in the 3 or 4 games that we've watched, he's definitely come in with his own ideas, so it's definitely a different challenge to what Hibs have been over the last couple of years under the previous manager. So yeah, like I said, I think it'll be an entertaining game because it's 2 teams that want to attack.
Meanwhile, Naismith has insisted that he's not overly concerned by the lack of goals from Lawrence Shankland. The striker hasn't been called up to Steve Clarke's Scotland squad this week. However, Naismith has been impressed still by the striker's overall contribution to Hearts this term, both on and off the pitch.
He's a real leader, and it's something that I was surprised by. And then his all-round game, inevitably in nearly every game we've played well this season, Shanks has been part of it, whether he's been scoring or whether he's been linking the play or leading the line in a disciplined defensive performance at times. He's got loads of qualities, so I'm not overly concerned about him not scoring goals.
Interesting there. Don't forget you get a chance to win Alison's scarf because it's no longer here. It was just right in the middle of it there. Ali, he's not worried about. I suppose if you've got a striker who's okay, he's not scoring, but he's contributing in other ways. It's okay. They'll cut you a bit of slack, but not if you don't win the derby.
Yeah, and he's not scored since August. I think he's been kind there. I think you do. I think the longer it goes on, the more it becomes a talking point, and the more the pressure builds around it. I suppose you would argue there's no better environment to go and end it with scoring against Hibs in a derby game. I have to say, I think Hearts will be too strong for Hibs tomorrow. I fancy that they'll win at Tynecastle. Sorry, Tam, but I think you go back. I think it's at one Hibs win in the last 10 games or so at Tynecastle. I just don't see that they'll have enough to go and come away with all 3 points. I hope we see an entertaining game. I hope we see both teams going for it. I think Hearts are vulnerable defensively, and I don't think they do have a lot of goals in them just now, but I think they'll have enough.
Okay.
That was before Monty Ball, those records.
Yeah.
You see them all up.
Yeah. What's the prediction?
2-1 Hibs.
I'm going to go 2-1 Hearts.
2-1 Hearts.
One each.
One each. Just out of curiosity,
just sits in the fence all the time.
See for the 10 years we've
Big
been here,
games, just
have you
no
ever,
opinion at all.
Have you ever predicted Hearts to win a derby?
Oh, I probably have.
An Edinburgh Derby, have you?
I think.
I'll look back. I need to look back. You're a disgrace. Anyway, don't be apologising to Tam just because you're not going. Get the studs in, Ali. Celtic against Kelly. Just out of curiosity, Ruffy, who's the best central defensive partnership? If Cameron Carter-Vickers is coming back, Nat Phillips is there. I don't know about you, but the boy Scales is...
I'm not knocking the boy Scales. I thought he was superb the other night. He gave it his gusto.
You don't think he's good enough?
I think he's raw. I think he's raw, and I think if all the centre halves were available, he'd be third or fourth choice.
I disagree, Peter.
I think that's
I know you said.
He's been playing
the
well.
other night he made the tackles and his distribution was good, but there was wee things that let him down in between, and that's just because he's not regular in the team and he's playing Champions League football. I'm not holding that against him. I just think if all the centre halves were available, he would be third or fourth.
I actually don't think I'd be surprised if it's Scales and Cameron Carter-Vickers.
I agree with you, Ali, because I think he's played. I understand where Ruffy's coming from because there is a learning curve, and Brendan Rodgers will make him a better player. But he's come in, and he doesn't look out of place.
In big games as well. I think in big games, the Old Firm game, obviously at Ibrox, I thought he was man of the match, and then last night he's left-sided, and I think I honestly think that Cameron Carter-Vickers and Scales is a better balance.
So do I.
Yeah.
I think so too.
You're not having it, are you?
I thought he was at fault for the first goal, the corner. Just go and attack the ball.
Yeah.
He's sort of a
Hart was
raw.
quite susceptible at the first goal.
Yeah. Well, listen.
After the header, they were all culpable.
Yeah, they're now coming up against a Kilmarnock side that obviously Derek McInnes is hoping they can start to get a bit of form. So Patrick Mullen was down there at Rugby Park to see how they're shaping up for this match against Celtic.
I'm here at Rugby Park speaking to Derek McInnes as his side are preparing to take on the league leaders Celtic on Saturday afternoon. They have already beaten Celtic here 1-0 in the League Cup, but there was a lot of criticism about the AstroTurf pitch after that game, but McInnes says it doesn't matter to his side and they are excited to go to Celtic Park and show what they can do.
Yeah, we've watched that game. We've watched a few games Celtic have played this season. You know, like I say, it's a lot was made of the result in the pitch because of the result. I think it's the pitch was never mentioned last season. Was Celtic scalped us here, So, and like I say, we're no interest. We're actually looking forward to going to playing at Celtic Park. It's always a good arena, but an arena a lot of my players were playing in for the first time.
McInnes didn't comment on the speculation linking him to the Rangers job, but he did speak about how he felt 7 games into the season was far too early to be sacking any managers.
My feeling on it is 7 games into the season, it's very harsh for managers to be to have lost a job. I feel for anybody who loses a job, it's such a tough environment. I think Alan Mabry lost his job at Edinburgh City as well, an ex-player of mine. So you've got every sympathy, and there's always different circumstances with all of it. I think a lot of the time it's really early, but it shows you the perils of the job.
Interesting though, because if you're looking at all the names that are linked, Philippe Clement, Lampard, Muscat, he's probably an outsider. If he's an outsider because I think some people have memories of the fact that he had the job in his hands.
Yeah, I think a lot of Rangers fans would be disappointed if he got the job this time because he turned it down the first time. But I think that Derek would do just as well as the guys you mentioned there. I think he's a real safe pair of hands. I think he would go in and galvanise the team. He would galvanise the club. He knows what Rangers is about. He's played there as a player. He knows the expectation levels. I think he'd be a good appointment for Rangers. But I think a majority of the fans wouldn't want Derek McInnes. So ultimately it's going to be the board decision. But I think the board will want to get somebody in that's maybe going to get the fans on side rather than somebody that's maybe going to divide them.
Yeah. And when you look at Kelly's form going into this one, Ruffy, no wins in 7 games, 6 games, no wins. So
they've got the same problem as what they had last year. I think they've only won once this year, haven't they? In that cup early on, they got an away win. But
they knocked Celtic out.
Yeah, but I mean in the league, they seem to struggle away from home. I don't think they've got a lot of goals in them when they play away from home. Maybe one against the good sides, but I just think Celtic are back on the rails. They've got far too many, players want to impress the new manager, and I think a few of them will get a chance. So I just think it's again one-way traffic.
Yeah, what is one-way traffic? What, 5-0 Celtic or what?
No, I've been impressed with Kilmarnock. I've been impressed with the defensive and the goal. 2-0.
That's his favourite, isn't it?
Comfortable 2-0 or hard fought?
Have you looked at the prediction table?
Where are you?
Had a look at the prediction.
Hard fought or comfortable?
We'll see. Just bide your time till it comes up on that screen.
Where are you? Are you going 2-0 comfortable?
Yes.
Okay, Ali, I've got 3-1. What about you?
I'm going to say 3-0.
Yeah.
3-0 for me as well.
3-0, okay. St Mirren against Rangers. Yeah, absolutely. I know exactly. St Mirren against Rangers. Okay, I think it was always going to be difficult for Stephen Davis to go in there and suddenly try and get something out of the great underperformers. Will another little bit of time to get more time with the players on the training ground help him in this one? Because this is a tough one.
This is a tough one. You would think, if Rangers or Celtic were going to get a tough one, it would be against Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts, away. But this one, with the form that St Mirren are in, is equal to the ones I've just mentioned. They'll have to buck up their ideas. They'll have to, more than 4 or 5 of them, will have to turn it on to get in this game. I think this is going to be really, really tight. But I still think Rangers have got the quality. It depends on the individuals, how the motivation in the dressing room before the game, the team talk. Is there? We always used to talk about Ali McCoy saying they all got together and they all did this and they all did that. It depends how many of them all get together and want to win it. Okay,
let's find out how Stephen Robinson thinks about this game at home against, a Rangers side just reeling from that defeat in midweek.
I'm at the St Mirren Training Centre as Stephen Robinson's buddies are preparing for Sunday's Scottish Premiership clash with Rangers at the Smythe Stadium. St Mirren sit second in the league and are one of just 2 sides who are still undefeated in Scotland's top flight, with the manager hoping that this weekend his side can put a bit of distance between themselves and Rangers.
And when we look statistically with us against Rangers, we're on par with them. It isn't by luck, it isn't by chance. And we go into the game knowing that we need to produce that again, and as you say, with that incentive to go clear of them. But they'll obviously have the incentive to get their season back up and running again and close the gap on ourselves. So it's a tough game, but one we're looking forward to.
Their opponents this weekend are going through a bit of a transition period. Manager Michael Beale was sacked after Saturday's loss to Aberdeen. In the interim period, he's been replaced by a man that Stephen Robinson knows very well, Stephen Davis.
I only know Stephen as a player. I've no idea in terms of ideas as a manager or a coach. I've not seen that side to him. He was a very quiet boy, deep, very well respected. That's the one thing that Stephen will get total respect because of what he's done in his career.
Well, Stephen Robinson says they're there on merit, and they are. They've had a fabulous start to the season. A little bit shaky in the last couple of games.
Yeah, they have been. But I fancy St Mirren to beat Rangers. I really would, Peter. And obviously I said it last week against Aberdeen. I went for a draw. I'm going to stick my neck out here, and I think St Mirren will beat Rangers. I'm not sure this Rangers team has got the minerals to win that game. I think that St Mirren will come. They'll be physical. They'll get after Rangers, they'll stick balls in the corner, they'll stick balls in behind, they'll stick balls on top of the defenders and the goalkeeper. And I don't see a fight in this Rangers team at the minute, a grit, a determination to go to St Mirren and win. So I think St Mirren can beat Rangers. And I think I'm going to go for 2-1 to St Mirren.
Yeah, you know, sometimes when you make a prediction, sometimes I go like that. But you notice I didn't flinch there when you said that.
No.
And where did he get minerals from? He's honestly, he must have read a broadsheet. Suddenly he started to put in.
Gumption was the word I was trying to.
Gumption, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would agree. I think I don't know if Rangers will lose it, but I think they'll drop points on Sunday. I think, and for all the reasons that you've just identified, I think. I remember watching Celtic lose 4-0 and ended Tony Mowbray's tenure at Celtic. I just think when you're in a particular movie and in a certain chapter, when things aren't going well and you have to go to face a team who are playing particularly well and on home soil and have had a really solid start to the season, I think it can be tricky. And I fancy St Mirren to take something tomorrow.
Well, I mean, I've got more than a few Rangers mates who are just on a complete downer at the moment, Ruffy. But one thing I would say to you is there is a moment, and Steve Davis is certainly not going to be a man who's in the firing line. I think Stephen Davis will just basically try and say, here's the game plan, try and get something that suddenly enhances his short-term reputation for at least getting a trick out of them. And I think they're going to have to step up to the plate. If Rangers lose against St Mirren, I would suggest to you, Ruffy, that suddenly the Rangers fans' real anger will shift more and more to the board. They're already not happy with them, but it'll really intensify if they lose this one, because they could potentially be 10 points, off Celtic this weekend. And I hate to do, hypotheticals, but they could be 10 points off if they lost to St Mirren with a new manager coming in.
Yeah, I mean, we speak about it on the show all the time, and the team's playing reasonably well, winning games, and it's not a disaster. Nobody bothers about the board and what's happening. But now things aren't going particularly well. Things will start to surface, why was he leaving? Why was he told to go? Who's bringing in the player? All these questions. Why is Douglas Park no vocal? Why is this, people want answers, They want to know what's happening to the structure of the club. I mean, you don't win games. Somebody's got to come up with the answers. I do think there will be somebody in that Rangers team who will dig them out a hole, and I'm going to go for Rangers to win 2-1.
Yeah, I've got 2-1 Rangers.
I'm going to say 1 each.
1 each.
I'm going to go for 2-1 St Mirren. I'd be interested to see Steve Davis who he picks, who's his starting lineup is, because I thought a couple of young boys come on, particularly the young boy come on wide last night. I thought he was good, and if I was Steve Davis, I'm not getting the job. Steve Davis is not getting the Rangers job. I'm looking and going, Lammers, Dessers, I don't care how much they cost. These boys are hungry. And they might go and give me more than you're giving me now, and I would maybe throw in a couple of young boys if I was Steve Davis.
Interesting. Okay, we'll find out if that is indeed the case or not. Livingston against Motherwell. Livingston 10th, only ahead of second bottom Ross County on goal difference, and they've won just one of the last 7 league games. I fear it's going to be tough for them, even with the new owners, unless something dramatic changes in January. This is what I call that, an old boss used to say to me, it's great when you're flavour of the month. The making of you is when you're not flavour of the month and it's not going according to plan. And this is the moment for David Martindale.
Yeah, and I think he anticipated it. I think he probably knew it was coming. It was a really difficult summer for them in terms of the finances and the work he was able to do, and obviously losing a couple of players too. I think, I think many always would fear for Livingston this season. I think I would definitely suspect that they'll be down and fighting for their lives come the end of the season. And
they're also conceding goals as well. Adam Binney went out to have a chat with the Livingston boss.
I'm at the Tony Macaroni Arena to speak to David Martindale, who happens to be the league's longest serving manager. At the weekend, Michael Beale was sacked as Rangers boss, becoming the second man to get the bullet already this season, and we're just 2 months into this year's Scottish Premiership campaign. Martindale encouraged the Rangers hierarchy for when looking at their next manager to look at the talent we have from within Scotland.
I look at Derek McInnes. I genuinely, Derek and Malky at Ross County, I think the two of them are top managers, and I think any one of they two could do a job at a club besides the Rangers, Celtic. I genuinely do. So I don't get carried away with these foreign names that are so-called better coaches.
Martindale went on to rule himself out of the Rangers job and explained why he will never make the decision to leave Livingston himself.
I will never leave Livingston off my own back. I don't care what jobs I'm linked with or whatever. Livingston's changed my life, and I think I've been very vocal on that. till the day comes that Dave and John chat my door or tell me to come into a meeting and say, look, we've had an offer for you, we think you should move on, or listen, Dave, we don't think it's working out, we need a new fresh impetus in the building, I'll be at Livingston. So it doesn't matter who I get linked with or attracted to. My future will be decided by the people at Livingston Football Club, and not by Davy Martindale.
Yeah, I think he makes a good point with homegrown managers, but sometimes, we used to go through a period in Scotland that anybody that had an O on the end of their surname, Ruffy, was, a tactical genius. You will be able to pass on, and Tam's obviously had the experience of it. Trying to think if I've had the experience of it before. David Martindale says he won't be leaving until he gets the call, to come into the office. What's it like when somebody says, look, it's the game's a bogey? I thought you handled it the best of all when somebody was saying to you, it's over.
Yeah, well, it only happened to me once. I was 39, so I knew it was coming. I mean, it happened to him every year. I had to deal with it. No, it is, but in the other sense as well, if the phone goes and it's Rangers that were after him, Mike, he'd be going champing in the door and saying,
I'm off ski.
I'm off ski, yeah. But I think the difference between, we're talking about Rangers earlier on, I think Livingston have players that want to battle for each other. I think David's got that mindset of they're all stuck together, they're not big name players and all that, and they all go out on a Saturday and they all battle for each other, and they've got Bruce Anderson who comes up with the goals. I think Motherwell will be disappointed obviously with the result last week, but I think Livingston got at home are good enough to get a draw in this game.
Yeah, well, they might be battling, but they're not winning.
No, they're not, Peter, but I think the last couple of games they were unlucky, Motherwell. I think that, in terms of the Rangers game at Ibrox, arguably they deserved a point. Last week they were a minute away from getting a point against Celtic. I think the performances have been good. And I quite fancy Motherwell to win this game. I think Livingston don't look the same team this season. I don't know what's missing from the team, but they don't look quite the same. And I think Motherwell have got enough to win that 2-1.
Here's Motherwell manager Stuart Kettlewell.
Stuart Kettlewell has highlighted the importance of finding a plan that works for Motherwell as they aim to end their 3-game losing streak away to Livingston this weekend.
And those kind of buzzwords of process and all that sort of stuff I absolutely despise, and again that's just me. Process, there's a lot of people read Pep's book and various different coaching manuals and stuff and start to talk about processes. I think what's important is that the players work off the basis and that sort of plan that we set out, and make sure it's Motherwell's, make sure it references and relates to them specifically as individuals.
Having netted only 4 times in the last 6 games, the Steelmen boss is looking forward to the return of strikers John Obika and Mika Bereth, who he believes are close to rejoining first-team action.
I think everybody's seen that John Obika could be a real good football player for this club. He's got a slightly different profile for some of the guys that we've already got, kind of fit and on the pitch and involved at this minute in time. Mika Bereth sort of caught the headlines, didn't he, with his debut against Hibs and the goal and the assist that he gets there. So yeah, we're obviously quietly excited about him and what he can bring to the party as well. So they give us more options, but all the while when I was bringing in strikers to the football club was the fact that they were all going to be a different profile, and certain games, certain scenarios they could offer up other qualities, other attributes.
Motherwell will be looking to turn their recent positive performances into points this weekend as they take on Livingston at the Tony Macaroni, and you can follow PLZ Soccer for all the updates.
Yeah, well done to Blair Malloy, who's taking a leaf out of Ali's book there. Always likes to finish off with a wee promo about where you can actually watch it, because Tam is back in the studio.
Did you not get your subscription in there? You did subscribe to PLZ, you never got that in the end of your interview, yeah, so you need to pick it up.
Ali, well done. If only he could show the same loyalty. By the way, Tam will be back because obviously PLZ Soccer is not conflicting with any of his other social engagements. Join us at 4:45. Join us at 4:45 tomorrow, where Tam will try and give us as informed an opinion as Ali Graham has so successfully done over the last couple of weeks. Okay, who are you going for, Ruffy? Livy or Motherwell? I can only see a draw.
One each.
Yeah.
2-1 Motherwell.
2-1 Motherwell.
Okay. Exactly. Aberdeen against St Johnstone. They're 7th, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. For me, poor in midweek. And I've seen them and I thought to myself, there's a wee spark coming. Okay, they haven't lost the game, but maybe my expectations for Aberdeen are just way above what they should be.
Well, they'll be expecting to win this one. St Johnstone don't seem to have any strikers who's going to put the ball in the back of the net. At least Aberdeen have got a couple of strikers who on any given day will score goals, and I think that'll be the difference between the two teams. I still think they'll be looking forward to the game. The Aberdeen fans will be looking forward to it. It wasn't a defeat in midweek, so I expect Aberdeen to go into that game and win it quite easily. But I remember sitting here a couple of seasons ago and saying that, and St Johnstone won 5-1 at Pittodrie.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think that's going to happen this time.
No, I've got a feeling it's not going to happen, Ruffy. Although if it does, I'm taking you out for an all expenses paid meal with the wine of your choice. Are you happy with that?
Happy with that, yeah.
I was going to invite your wife Maggie, but I can't afford the extra $3.5 grand. so you do. So who are you going for, Aberdeen?
Aberdeen 2-0.
Okay, I've got Aberdeen also to win without St Johnstone scoring, because I mean, look at I think this is the moment when St Johnstone will be cut off.
Yeah, it could possibly be, because obviously Livingston and Ross County have got opportunities to go and pick up points against the teams round about them. But I think Aberdeen will win again comfortably. I've not been impressed at all with St Johnstone, even going back to the League Cup. Losing 4-0 at home, I think, is still in Albion. They've not 3-0 Aberdeen, easy.
Yeah, Ali.
Yeah, I'll go for an Aberdeen win. Although I do think it's interesting on the back of European performances. I think quite often you see teams dropping points and quite turgid when they go into weekend in domestic action again. However, I just think St Johnstone have been so limp this season that I can't see beyond Aberdeen.
Yeah, Dundee Ross County is one of those games where, Ruffy, when I was a young reporter and they said to you, you're going to Dundee Ross County, I knew I'd done something wrong, because quite simply the two of them are desperately trying to get points. If anything, I'm saying I'm curious to see how Tony Docherty builds the side, because I like Tony. He's a really good lad, and equally Malky. I think he's got enough quality that he won't be in the bottom, but I can't split them. I just think this is going to be one of those turgid battles.
Yeah, well, I think it will be. I had Dundee bottom two, but they've been picking up points, which is always important. They're nothing each last week against Hibs. There'll be something to build on. I just think they've got to prove themselves that they can win games against the likes of Ross County, because they are the teams that are going to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. Interesting to see, but I'm going to hang on with Ross County. I don't think they'll win the game, but I think they're good enough to get a draw. So I'm going to go one each.
Well, you mentioned draws, and that's the thing that at the moment Tony Docherty is desperately trying to avoid.
I'm going to go for a goalless draw. I just think that game's got I think I could imagine how that game's going to play out, and I'm glad I'm going to Livingston.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say to you about it all is, okay, Dundee would cite the loss to Celtic, but they're not losing the other key games with teams around them. But for Ross County, I like them middle to front. I just that the back line is where they're conceding goals, and that's unusual when you consider Malky and his prowess as a defender.
Yeah, I think they've just hit a little rut. Ross County. I fancied them to do okay this season, but they've hit a rut. I think Dundee can win this game. I've been pretty impressed with Dundee. I watched the game last week against Hibs. They defended strongly. Goalkeeper was excellent, and they could have nicked it. They had a threat at the other end. And I just think that at home, they've got a young, hungry team, Dundee. You've got a young, hungry manager, Tony Docherty. I think they'll turn Ross County over. I'll go for 2-1 to Dundee.
Okay. Just before we leave the Scottish Premiership, Ruffy, your thoughts on Cinch deal terminated 2 years early? No surprise, because I think if we look at it in the cold light of day, there are two elements to it. One, I think there's a change, and somebody mentioned to me in a business sense that there's a change strategically from Cinch and the money they've been spending on marketing. And I think that was the ideal time for them to exercise the clause in the contract. I think the main driving force for it is there's a clause in the contract, we're getting out now because you lot are just a shower of bickering, chairman, chief executives who can't agree on a deal that we signed with you.
Yeah, I would say that's probably 100% of that is true. Obviously they'll be getting round the table, negotiating the future, and obviously they've decided that they're going to go elsewhere. You're right in what you're saying. They're doing that with a lot of... They're in everything just now. So they're now pulling the reins in, and we're suffering. So Neil Doncaster's got to come up with another deal, which is going to be harder year on year.
Yeah, Ali, this is critical coming up. Trying to get a sponsor. If anything, I think the biggest PR job that the SPFL could do is to try and show some kind of unity, some kind of collective, responsibility.
Without question, I think you need to go. I think it's hugely important. I think it'll have been a massive blow for that to end prematurely. I know they had a right to come out of it early, which they've taken, but I don't think it was helped. You had the argument, the legal argument with Rangers too, not wanting to showcase the sponsor, and that dragged on for a while. I don't think that helps anyone. I think when you're trying to attract money into the league and into the game that's desperately needed to elevate the standard and what we've got, I think you have to have everyone coming off the same sheet. I think you have to have a uniformity of access and exposure.
And if they do find a sponsor, and that sponsor, it'll be interesting to see what the reaction is now. If that sponsor is a sponsor in a field where some of the other clubs in the Scottish Premiership have similar sponsors, will we have the same argument? If they do, I think they're on a hiding to nothing.
Absolutely, but I think also this is a question that you have to have before you get to the point where you've signed it. I think these are all issues that need to be ironed out and sorted prior to anything coming up, because I think it's embarrassing when you have an argument like that. I think it leaves everyone looking red-faced. I don't think you can afford to have that reflecting so poorly on the league itself. It looks amateurish. So these are issues that have to be cleared up way before you're up and running.
This is another ideal opportunity to bring in a new sponsor of league reconstruction to make it a wee bit more exciting. But we know the clubs won't do it.
Let us know what's happening and what's happening.
I'm just saying that for a new sponsor coming in and saying, look, you're going to be a new sponsor, we're going to change things. We're going to make it more exciting.
Just out of curiosity, and it's a very good point that he does make, have you received at any point a WhatsApp message from Dundee that this is the proposal?
No, because their fax is broke.
I'll never get the email.
Yeah, absolutely. That's brilliant.
That seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. When we were all, well...
We've gone mental.
Exactly. I was going mental because I couldn't believe some of the furniture you were buying in your house. But nevertheless, it'll be interesting to see who the sponsor is, but we need to change our attitude to try and really gloss up Scottish football and get people out to matches, and that's what we want you to do. If you're at a loose end, get out to a game, and go and support your team wherever they are. And even the big clubs want you to be there. We want you to get out there and support them as well, and get behind Scottish football. And if you can't get to the game for various reasons, and we understand them, why not join us? Because Ruffy and Tam are in place. Kerry is not with us on the Saturday morning preview at 9 o'clock. Adam Binney is an able replacement. So if you want to get a preview and see how these two are doing in the quiz as well, join us for that. And also, let's not forget, Tam and I will be back sitting here in the chair talking about the results coming in. We'll have half-time and full-time summaries for you, and manager and player reaction as well. So that's all to look forward to at 3:45 tomorrow. Interestingly enough, if you do get a chance, we've got the Women's Football Show, which has been great since it started covering women's football. We also have Straight Talk, which is a great interview. If you're of a certain age, then you'll remember Love and Money, a great Scottish band from the 80s. James Grant was in with me, not only picking his top 5 songs of all time, which were awesome, but giving us a great insight into that roller coaster ride of being in a successful pop band and also being a musical genius. Well worth it. So lots to look forward to. And we had Michael Grant reminiscing about Aberdeen and Gothenburg on the journos this week, so that's well worthy of your time, either in podcast or watching it on the YouTube channel. Scotland, double header. Spain first of all away, then France away. Couple of big games, one of them a learning curve, the other one which is massive. I think if we draw or win, boy, we're on our way. I just need to work out flights and who's going, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think a lot of supporters have already done it before this game. They think that it's a given we're going to be there, but it's another test. I think Spain will be in a better shape than what they were the first time. I think they've hit a bit of form, but I'm glad he's playing France. I think it's good to play the big teams. It's good. I think he's actually preparing himself for getting to the finals and saying to the players, this is the kind of team you're going to play, so let's see where we are. And it'd be good to see what happens in that one. Yeah, and I think Rodri will have something to say. He'll be looking for a wee bit of revenge in the air for Spain. I mean, this country's going to go mental if we go over there and beat them. Yeah, I think... I don't think I would expect it. I think I don't think Scotland are just quite there yet. I think it could be a long night. It could be a bit of a reality check, just in terms of where Scotland are and how much they've still got to do. However, what you would say is that they've done so well in terms of where they are in the group.
so well now that you would be amazed if they never made it to Germany. I think just the expectation is now that they're going to European Championships, and also results can still go. It could go against them against Spain, and depending on results elsewhere, they could still seal their passage.
Yeah, and the other thing about it, Ali, because you are now full time with PLZ, would you be obviously just saying, look, I'm the head of content at PLZ, I am going to Germany, and whether these two are going or not, is that fair? Is that fair?
I think that's fair.
I could be outside looking in here because you've got her full time, you've got him playing 3 World Cups, and you've got me a jobber. I'm in trouble, by the way.
By the way, going to just say something. There's always room for a jobber, but you need to actually appear on the show regularly for you to get a chance for that. Also, look at the squad, Tammy. Tierney, what a blow. What a blow.
It's a shame for him, Peter. I think he started well at Sociedad, and I think he's picked up another bad injury.
Yeah.
He just can't get a break, the boy. There's no doubt for me, when he's fully fit, he's one of the best left backs in the world. Never mind, in Scotland, but it's a shame for him. He's going to be a big blow for us because he can play. I like him and obviously Robertson on that left hand side. They've got a great understanding together. Shankland, I don't think it's that big a blow. He's not been great this season, but Tierney's a big one for me. That's a huge blow for us.
Yeah, and when you look at that squad, Ruffy, are you quite happy that he's got enough to pick again a team that can at least try and make it difficult for Spain?
Yeah, I think he has. I think he's got a team now that's it's a club side now. It's not an international side. It's the same players. Month on month, that come turning up for games. They're all knowing each other. They're all bonding together. They're enjoying the results and everything. And that can only be good. And I think, I've never seen so many good midfielders for a long, long time with experience. They obviously playing in a top division.
Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed on that. How are you viewing it, Ruffy? Are we getting the result?
No, but I don't think we'll get run over.
Okay, right, fine. Just wanted to get
We're
your
getting
insight into it. Yeah, okay, there you are. See the headline now. Well, the headline from me is Ruffy rubbishes Scotland and tips Spain to win. The headline from the headline from these two is.
I've been there before. I've been there for nothing easy against Spain with 10 minutes to go and we get beat 3-0.
Yeah. Ali, what's your headline? Ruffy offers some caution.
World Cup hero rubbish.
There you are. Well done, Ali. English Premiership fixtures. Let's have a look at them because there's a tasty game in all of it. Luton Town, Tottenham is not one of them. Fulham, Sheffield United, Burnley, Chelsea, Man United, Brentford, Everton, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, Brighton, Liverpool, West Ham, Newcastle is a tasty one. Wolves, Aston Villa, and then Arsenal against Manchester City.
I'd love to know who does their fixture list because every week they're all good games.
Yeah,
but they always have one game. That's
It's
the
the
biggie.
TV, isn't it, really, I think?
They always have, the way the fixtures go,
yeah,
it just jumps out at you.
yeah. So is that you telling me that in 4:30 on Sunday you'll be there watching Arsenal Man City?
No, I'm Newcastle.
Yeah.
Watch Newcastle.
Are you just going to continue to watch?
Yes.
Has Jurgen Klopp stopped crying yet? Is he still?
Yeah.
Well, he wants he wants the game replayed. Which, to be fair, by the way, if it's going to break down, then we have to have a replay. It's as simple as that.
God.
By the way,
All the games that you'd like to
I
go
know,
back and
but Gareth Southgate is not having it. He wants he would love to reverse time and just do away with VAR, but he knows it's a necessary evil.
Yeah, I don't think VAR has been the solution to every ill in football, but and last weekend of course would have highlighted it. However, I think I do think 9 times out of 10 it's going to come to the right conclusion.
Okay, listen, just before we go, a couple of things I want to mention. I think from everybody on the football show would like to wish Tom Rogic a very successful retirement and happiness with his family because he put his family first. He's a young boy. He certainly can look back with great pride at what he achieved at Celtic, and I think when you understand the struggles of obviously getting his kids there in the family, then it does come first. Nothing else replaces it. So we wish him well in his retirement. Just a last point, Ruffy, on a great player from the days when I was a young boy growing up, and Franny Lee has died at the age of 79. Now, Franny Lee was a player, a goal scorer.
Yeah, he certainly was, and what a fabulous side they had as well with Summerby and all them. And I think the iconic game that he played in was when the fight with Billy Bremner, wasn't it?
No, it was Norman Hunter.
Punching lumps at each other.
Yeah, it was only a booking. Yeah, Franny Lee. I mean, listen.
Do you know how he made his millions?
Horse racing, was it not? Was
He
it?
had horses, but he made his millions by selling toilet paper.
Is that right?
Yep.
Well, there you are. And
Toilet
that,
paper company.
that's why Ruffy is on the programme, for useless information like that. Anyway, I think from everybody, again, a great, sadly loss for us. Franny Lee, what a player he was. Great to have Ruffy with us, Alison McConnell and Tam McManus. Don't forget the early morning 9 o'clock preview show with Adam Binney and the two boys here. And then in the afternoon, we'll hear from Ali. She'll be out at the ground with all the other reporters. Tam and I will be in here 3:45 tomorrow live on our YouTube channel, if you can join us then. From everyone here, thank you for the fantastic downloads in the podcast, and thank you for the great figures we're getting right across our social media and our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.
Want a cabbage.